Hi and welcome to ThePrint. My name is Karanjeet Kaur. I'm a journalist and an editor. Let's talk about the condition of zoos in India today and whether we are even worthy of them. Shankar the elephant deserves better. Chained in his enclosure at the National Zoological Park in New Delhi, which he is accused of damaging, this lone African giant has become an unwitting symbol of everything wrong with our zoos. Last week, Shankar's plight caused the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums to suspend the zoo's membership for 6 months. Gifted to India in 1998, Shankar has lived in solitude since he lost his companion in 2005. Now, his must-induced aggression has led to further confinement, sparking an international outcry. The suspension is shameful on several counts, but especially because the facility was granted the status of a national zoological park for its aim of becoming a model zoo for the rest of the country. In 2020, the zoo had grand plans to introduce a mobile app and a VR guide for visitors. Now, a permanent termination of its membership looms large. We now have a formulaic scrambling from the zoo authorities, who claim that the process to find Shankar a suitable mate from Botswana and Zimbabwe is already underway. But the zoo's troubles are far from over, and Shankar is not the only creature in need of attention. Unlike its counterparts around the world, the National Zoological Park is in desperate need of an overhaul, but is extremely hamstrung by funds. According to reports, the budget outlay for such an exercise is around 400 crore rupees. However, the zoo's earnings are not even 10% of that figure, even though it witnesses footfalls in the lakhs. All of this despite the fact that a joint report by TERI and the Central Zoo Authority estimated the establishment's recreational and cultural value to be 324.33 crore. It also pegged its educational and research value at 37.6 crore. There's not a single shred of a doubt that the authorities who have landed the zoo in this soup should be held accountable. But we shouldn't stop our scrutiny over there. How could a facility that touts an enriched environment for the animals, quality of animal exhibits, conservation, education, and sustainable management practices as its primary goals fall so drastically short? This failure demands explanation as well as rectification. But the blame doesn't rest solely on the zoo authorities. This crisis is also an opportunity for introspection. After all, what role do we, the visitors and spectators, play in this unfolding drama? I can't help but wonder how much of Shankar's behavior was inherent and how much could be attributed to being gawked at and harassed by the zoo's millions of visitors. According to Section 38 of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, no person shall tease, molest, injure, or feed any animal or cause disturbance to the animals by noise or otherwise, or litter the grounds in a zoo. Yet, a simple visit to any zoo in the country will put that notion to waste. There are videos of spectators at the Delhi Zoo laughing and harassing a hippo, one of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. These same spectators likely treat stray dogs with more caution. They complain about having to walk too much at the zoo and leave 1-star reviews because they were not able to see animals that were presumably resting. Often, this heedlessness can go terribly wrong. In a horrifying incident from 2014, a white tiger named Vijay killed a man named Maqsood who fell 18 feet into the animal's enclosure. Eyewitnesses reported that the tiger, who had a reputation of being playful, did not harm the man for 15 minutes and even regarded him with some curiosity. It became agitated and attacked only when onlookers began throwing stones at it in a mistaken bid to rescue the man. That same year, at Gwalior Zoo, a drunk engineering student named Yashonandan Kaushik jumped into a tiger enclosure. He danced topless for 45 harrowing minutes before being rescued. His parents later stated that he hadn't slept in 4 nights, and maybe that had taken a toll on him. These incidents are part of a pattern of reckless and frankly idiotic behavior, highlighting the disregard some visitors have for their own safety and the callousness with which we think of wild animals. In 2019, Rehan Khan's intrusion into the enclosure of Sundaram, the lion at Delhi Zoo, ended with the animal being tranquilized, despite no signs of aggression from him. A similar incident at Chatbir Zoo in Mohali ended tragically when a man who had scaled a 25-foot wall was mauled to death by 2 lions. Now, several of the men who invite this danger upon themselves are characterized as mentally ill or unstable, but it is the captive animals that end up paying the price. It isn't just these headline-grabbing incidents that are a cause for concern. Daily visitor behavior also has a profound impact on animal welfare. In 2017, a pair of chimpanzees at the National Zoological Park began exhibiting aggressive behavior towards each other, stressed by visitors constantly throwing objects and food at them. Even when people aren't directly interacting with the animals, the mere presence of large crowds can be detrimental to them. Studies at the Delhi Zoo have shown that stereotypic behaviors, which are repetitive, purposeless actions that indicate poor welfare, among tigers and leopards increase significantly with higher visitor density. Tigers spend 22% of their time pacing, while leopards engaged in stereotypic behaviors for 28% of their time. These included pacing, skip pacing, and tail or toe sucking. These behaviors are clear indicators of the psychological toll that constant human presence and interference can take on captive animals. While zoo authorities inevitably get flagged for lax security and inadequate response mechanisms, these recurring incidents force us to confront a more uncomfortable truth. Aren't we, the visitors, the real problem? Why do we need constant policing? Why do we feel compelled to flout rules designed for both our safety and the animals' well-being? Our actions show a profound lack of respect for these creatures and the sanctity of their spaces. In these encounters, it's invariably the animals who pay the price for our boorishness, enduring stress, tranquilization, and sometimes even death. We carry the same entitled attitude to outdoor safaris and national parks. I've seen people squabbling for refunds from their safari operators because they didn't get to spot a tiger in the wild. A few years ago, while driving through Bandipur National Park, I observed a bunch of people clambering off stalled vehicles and running and screaming towards a herd of elephants that was crossing the road. They came away with plenty of selfies, but not a stray thought about how quickly the whole situation could have gone south. Do we, as a society, even deserve access to wildlife? Have we earned the privilege of observing these magnificent beings up close? Until we can demonstrate a collective ability to behave responsibly and empathetically, we remain the greatest threat to these animals. The connection between people and wild animals is profoundly broken. Yet, no matter where you stand on the ethical debate surrounding animal captivity, zoos have the potential to be powerful educational spaces. For so many of us born in the city, zoos were our first introduction to the natural world. Emma Maris, an environmental writer and author of the book Wild Souls, suggests that we evaluate zoos based on 2 claims. First, do they help wild animals thrive? Second, do they broaden human attitudes towards conservation? While there may be some evidence supporting the former, especially in the Indian context, the latter presents a critical opportunity that we are squandering away. The concept of the extinction of experience, first posited by American lepidopterist Robert M. Pyle, becomes painfully relevant here. He argued that the growing alienation of humans from nature isn't just about losing personal benefits, but can lead to a cycle of disaffection with disastrous consequences. Pyle emphasized that direct personal contact with natural environments is vital in forging emotional intimacy with nature. Our zoos were meant to bridge this gap between people and the natural world. But the only exhibits they now display are mismanagement and visitor misbehavior. As we reckon with Shankar's plight, it's evident that the crisis extends beyond the confines of animal enclosures. Until we can inculcate respect for the natural world, our zoos will be reminders of our collective failure to coexist harmoniously with the wild, and not the educational and conservation spaces they aspire to be.